Okay. Hello, everybody. We are here today to do an interview on mental health awareness and experiences. What is your name, age, and your background?
My name is Riley. I am 19 years old, and what's my background? I grew up in Manitowoc. I don't know.
That's it. Okay. How old were you when you were diagnosed, and with what?
I was 15. I was diagnosed with a bunch of different stuff. First, it was major depressive disorder. Then it was generalized anxiety disorder. Then it was borderline personality disorder.
Okay. What is it like having those mental illnesses or depression itself?
Well, just to be depressed, kind of feels like you're dying, I would say. It's like a tightness in your chest all the time. It's just like something in your chest. That's what it feels like all the time. You just walk around with it.
Okay. What traumatic events or experiences led you to that state of mind?
Growing up in a shitty situation, not having good parental figures, I would say. Seeing a lot of messed up things at a young age.
How and when were you admitted, and what pushed you to the edge?
I was admitted first when I was 15. I drank bleach, and then I was admitted 2 weeks ago. I overdosed on antidepressants. And what was the other part?
What pushed you to the edge?
I mean, when I was 15, it was kind of just stupid stuff, school, whatever was going on in my life when I was 15 that I thought was that important. But now it's bills, school, money, family, friendships, everything, pretty much.
Generalization? Okay. When you got there, after you were admitted, what was your first impression?
First time, I was just really scared. Second time, I did not want to be there. First thing I saw was some lady laying on the ground laying on the floor saying that she couldn't walk and that she felt heavy. And literally 3 hours later, she was walking just fine. So that was my first impression the second time. But first time I was in a adolescent unit. Second time I was in an adult unit, so it's a lot different.
Very drastic change. Did you feel safe in the psychiatric hospital? Why or why not?
For myself, yeah. But also not, just because that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be with somewhere where I felt safe, with people that I love and know, not random people.
Did you feel as if you could truly talk to someone about how you felt? Why or why not?
Yes, but also no, just because you don't really have any control over what they do to you at all, or anything. I was involuntarily admitted twice, and I had no choice whatsoever. I was forced in there against my will. And they can give you whatever medication they want. They can do whatever they want. They can keep you in there for as long as they feel they need to. So it's can you tell them how you're feeling?
No. You really can't.
You can't.
Was being there beneficial, and were your actions worth it?
I don't know. Maybe this time, the most recent time, it wasn't. Maybe when I was 15 and I didn't know what was going on with my life, probably. But this time it wasn't beneficial. My actions obviously weren't worth it, especially to sit there and just get nothing out of it.
Be alone. Did your experience in the psychiatric hospital change your perspective or view on life?
Kind of, I guess. Just because you see a lot of different things in there, and it kind of just makes you think about a lot of stuff.
What are the most traumatizing things you experienced there?
I witnessed a lot of people I don't know the right word, tweaking off their medication. Like I said when I first walked in, some lady's laying on the floor, literally claims she can't walk, claims she can't see, and then 3 hours later she's just fine. And then different guys twitching just out of nowhere, like he has Tourette's or something, and it's just they all say it's because of the medication, and then like
They keep giving it to them.
the nurses will come up to them and be like, hey, like the doctor put you on this medication and upped your dose on this medication and gave you this new one too and took away this one, like constantly every day it's something different. So that's kind of messed up, but yeah.
Final question. What advice do you have to anybody going through this?
Probably to just like reach out to people. Don't think that you're alone. Don't think that nobody cares, because there's somebody who does. And like there's so many different resources and people that you can just go to, whether it's like a teacher or a friend or a family member, or even like calling the hotline would help.
Okay. Here is part 2 to the first interview, and we're just gonna get started. Your name, your age, and your background.
My name is Selena. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I graduated last year. I'm currently working as a bartender at 2 different bars, and I live here with my mom, and my sister, my family.
So yeah. Okay. How old were you when you were diagnosed, and what were you diagnosed with?
I was 15 when I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety. I would have such bad anxiety that I would have panic attacks and like seizures and everything. So they did a bunch of tests, and I was diagnosed with POTS and NCS, which is like having seizures, having like panic attacks all the time.
Sporadically.
Blood dropping, blood pressure drops, gets higher. Yeah.
Okay. What is it like having all your diagnoses, like depression and the things that bring you down?
I would say, it used to feel like a lot. It used to feel like a weight on your shoulders. A lot of the time it would be like stressful to feel like I would feel out of place a lot, because I would feel like people didn't know me, people, didn't care. So like, I guess it just is, it's almost like just like something on your back consciously, like, or constantly all the time, just like consciously telling you like, oh, you're shitty, you're like a bad person,
Right. Understandable. What traumatic events or experiences led you to your lowest state of mind?
I guess just growing up with like a lot of being shown what not to do, but witnessing it as well kind of traumatized me in a lot of ways. So like just growing up seeing a bunch of, messed up things, but then also when you're finally old enough to realize what you went through, you kind of sit back and you're like, dang, like that's messed up. And so you kind of wallow in like everything that you've ever went through and like everything that you've seen, So it's like, I can't really say like what did it, because it's a lot of things. It's like
It's a lot of personal
your whole
stuff.
life. I'm 19 years old and I still see everything, So I guess it's a lot.
Okay. How and when were you admitted, and what pushed you to the edge to finally get to that point?
Well, I used to do a lot of partying a lot, and like I used to.
Every teenager.
There was one time where I got to a point where I did things to try and end my life, but it didn't. And I went to a doctor's appointment, I think a month later, and they were interviewing me questions because it was like a checkup. And I slipped up. They kind of try to ask you questions to like get you to like
Say the wrong thing.
Yeah, say the wrong thing.
You're gone.
And so they were like, "Have you ever tried to kill yourself, or do you ever feel like killing yourself?" And I said yeah. And I think that was the question that kind of pushed it to where, okay, like she could be, in danger of herself or whatever. So then I got sent to a psychiatric hospital.
Okay. When you arrived at the psychiatric hospital, what was your first impression?
I was so scared. Like I was literally shaking. Like I didn't know anybody. It was outside of Milwaukee. I can't tell you like where it was, but it was so far away from my house that like none of my friends would want to come see me. Like it was New Year's weekend. Like all my friends were doing things. Like I was in a situation where I was separated from everybody. So I was scared of that. And then when I walked in, I knew nobody. So it's like I felt alone instantly.
A lot of isolation.
Yeah.
At the psychiatric hospital, did you feel safe? And if you did, why? And if you did not, why not?
I felt safe because I felt trapped. like when you get there, they make you take strings out of everything. Like you can't bring a little shower loofah in there because like they told me you can unravel it and like use it for, you know, whatever. It's like the little things that you wouldn't think matter in your daily life truly are taken from you, and like you can't even do what you want.
No rights.
You
Everything's
have no
taken
rights,
away.
no rights at
Everything's
all,
taken.
no phone, like literally nothing. Your room is a little room with a bed. Sometimes you have your own bathroom. Sometimes more in isolated place you have a bed and you know there's like a camera there, like whatever it may be. But you can't keep your door shut. Like it's nothing. There's no privacy.
Did you feel as if you could truly talk to somebody about how you felt? Why or why not?
When I was that age, I felt like nobody understood. So a lot of the times I would just keep it to myself and then just keep thinking about it. And when I would be alone, that's when it would get to me the most. So I just felt like I would talk to myself about it more or less, and it would go away. But it progressively got worse, obviously, because when you can't talk to anybody, then it's...
You just kind of bottle it up.
Yeah.
Was being there beneficial, and were your actions worth it in the end?
Yes, but it did not benefit me in the ways that you would think, I guess. Like, now that I'm older and I can look back on it, it's benefited me in a way, like, I realized that's not where I belong. Like, when I went in there, I knew instantly, like, how the people, like, nothing against them, how the people acted, how they were, how they, you know, how they just lived, you know. And it's like, when you see that and then you think about how you are, it's like, no.
This isn't where I belong.
Yeah, this isn't where I belong. So now that when I'm looking back on the situation, yeah, I think a lot, like, I do appreciate, like, having that experience, because now I see it's like, okay, I'm better than this. I know that I don't belong here, and I know that I'm not crazy.
Right. Did your experience in the psychiatric hospital change your perspective or your view on life?
Kind of like it kind of fits, but yeah, for sure. Like I definitely know what not to do, and I realize how important my life is and the things I could be doing rather than, you know,
Constantly.
being dead or changing that. So I guess, yeah, I know I don't ever want to kill myself. That's never an option anymore, because it's like you see that and it's almost like scarring to you. It's like,
what are the most traumatizing things you witnessed while in the psychiatric hospital?
when I first got there was just a lot of things going on. Like, I was just so overwhelmed. But like, I guess a lot of the things were like weird. Like, you were told not to make friends. Don't make friends with them. Don't give them out your name. You can only give out your first name. Don't give out any like information so that you can be tracked, whatever. So not making friends. I just wanted to be isolated. I wanted to stay in my room, but like they wouldn't let me go in my room to like sleep during the day. Like, none of that. Like, you had like 1 hour room time. So it was like, and then like some of the patients, I don't know, one of the patients, I walked down the hallway and like the girl was like throwing up into the water fountain, and I asked one of the other girls, I was like, is she okay? And they're like, oh, she does that. Like
how is that
like
normal?
that's normal to you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a little concerning to me, like that nobody is like
Worried about it.
yeah. So, and you had to eat, like, I don't eat a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when it's girls' food. I'm picky. I don't like to eat.
Right.
But you have to eat a certain portion size, like 50% of your food, and it's like all like worse than lunch food.
We all know how that is. Final question. What advice do you have for kids or anybody going through this?
I would say think about your decisions, and also think about your life in the long run, in your future. Like, think about where you're going to be in 10 years. Like, do you know in your heart that this situation you're going through right now is really going to affect you in the long run? Like, is it really worth it to take your own life because of something that you're going through as a child? Like, realistically, after high school, things do get better. I am not the same person I was even a year ago, and I can say that. And it's hard for a little bit, but you get through it. It's just a little bump in the road, and if you think that you are depressed, I would suggest getting help, but not in the way that I had to,
Yeah. So don't take the wrong steps. Be cautious.
Just, be very cautious.